I'm going to go over the Foundation Digital Media Section 1 magazine covers. So here we go. First I want to briefly review the assignment and then I'll go over the cover critique. So the idea is to design a magazine cover for an existing magazine. The final size will be 10.375, sorry, 8.375 by 10.375. And I'm just going to be reviewing the final JPEGs that were submitted into Portfolio. Some things to consider, as stated on the project sheet, is that the photography kind of matches what's going on in the existing magazine. Try to replicate the style of the existing magazine, looking closely at typography and considering the style and size and color and groupings of the typography. Also, just understanding the layout. Where does the masthead go and what size it is and where's it placed? So the secondary text, like the different topics featured in the magazine that are still on the front cover, where are those placed? What are the edges? Is the text centered? Is it right justified, left justified? Is the text grouped? Are there is there large type on the cover that's usually can be used as a focal point? Does the type cover the image on the cover, and how does it? Does it cover the face, the hair, the hands, clothes? The answer is it will never cover the face. It may cover the forehead. That's about as close as it's going to get. It can cover other parts. So let's jump into it and see what we can find. Now, what I'm going to have to do is open up a new browser, and I'm gonna, since there's some magazine covers that I'm not familiar with, I may be looking at those. So here we go. So first of all, I can't read the cover of this. I feel like it's covering it up too much. And I don't even have, I don't even know the name of the magazine to look up because it's KL something something N or AN. Oh boy, let's see, KL. Wow, yeah, I don't. So here's the purpose of the masthead. The masthead is so when magazines are stacked up, like on a newsstand in New York City or large city, the magazines, they're kind of laid on top of each other, stacked up, so you can only really see maybe the top third of the magazine. So that's why the masthead is so important, and that's the magazine term for logo. So we can see it and we know what magazine we're after. And this one, it really hides it. With that said, I think the other parts are well done. I like the photo. I like the idea of using dead mouse as the cover image. And this kind of crazy pieced in mask. I would kind of be careful about the spacing, the vertical spacing between these lines. Like this one I feel like should be a little tighter, and this one much tighter right here. Okay. Oh, that's probably a hint of what the cover looks like, or what the cover is. Okay, I'm gonna look that up real quick. Okay. Well, so I see Kerrang, a few of them are quite covered up. I can't read on those either. So I think you followed what's going on, although most of them you can still kind of read it, but definitely not this one, KG exclamation mark. So I think you're following what's going on in the magazine. I just don't honestly agree with the design decisions on it. And maybe it's not one that gets sold on newsstands, so that's probably important to consider. Now, I do want to point out a couple things, like even this one that is larger. See how close the type is. See how it's grouped together. It's very much grouped together. Like this one might be a little, this poppy might be spread out, but there's nothing around it at all. So we understand that these are grouped together because of this just spacing issues. Okay, that's enough. And I'm saying this because I'm going over a lot of things that I'm not going to go over again. I'm just going to refer to this discussion. Okay, so we'll go to Vogue. So I think there's an issue with the type in here. And let me just show you why I feel that way. So a lot of tight groupings and a lot of large, so it's large paired with small, and they're very much grouped together. Let's go to another one. Like here's one. Very much grouped together, really tight. So it feels like these are they're a unit. Yeah, even this, and then this, and this. So the grouping is really pretty important, and I feel like, I mean, these are grouped, but maybe it's just maybe it's the shape of this type. I mean, this is right justified. See how it all lines up with this E in the end of Vogue right here, and this end lines up. Oops, sorry. This lines up with the. Oh, come on. Okay. This lines up with the V, so it's right justified. We'll go down here. These are kind of, they're not centered, but they move around. They're a little playful. And it has a lot to do with the shape. Let's go back to that one. So these are all centered, and then this one's right justified. Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is this one's left justified, playful. I don't feel like the type is really similar to what Vogue cover would be. I mean, I feel like the image is, and the masthead is, and anyway, that's my take on this. I think a lot of it is, and I'm doing this for everyone's benefit, right? Hopefully everyone's watching this. So let's see. So this New Voices Bold Politics right here, that's very similar type or the same type as this one. And this is the same as this one. And it's probably the exact same as this type, but it's just a little larger. And this Radical Broadway. So they're all using the same typeface or very similar typefaces. Here, the Kia Gerber has the same size and weight as, you know, New Guard Rules, and probably got it covered. And then the Coming of Age is the same as the Season of Coats, the Jacket Strikes, and the Fashion Funds. So there's different levels that they're doing, like this. So level smallest is this one, and then next largest is this. Okay, so let's move on. Here there's an issue of punching out the these on Billboard and they're not rounded like they usually are, and I would like some type on the cover. I mean, I realize that maybe Billboard has more minimal type, but it still does have type. So type, 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 type. So I'm assuming that that cover is not done. And these need to be rounded out more. Okay, good. And then sprint car and midget cars. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up too. Okay, so here's our covers. It looks like pretty standard, this red centered type, but it's on the left-hand side of the page. And then we have a big image of some kind of car or figure or something that has to do with the topic. And then we're seeing this yellow. Here's a white, but here's a yellow, 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 white. So, but it's all capital and then upper lower, all capital, upper lower, all capital. Oh, here's upper lower, all capital, upper lower, all capital, upper lower. So I'm seeing definitely a pattern going on here, right? And then there's type above the masthead on each of them. So let's see how we did here. And that type was yellow that I saw, so I'm going to zoom out. Okay, well, I think it should be a little bit bolder, and they usually have, it looks like some kind of a highlight around it, and I don't love outline or drop shadow. Not a huge fan if it's not needed. It's not needed here, but I feel like, I think we're close, but except I think the sprint and midget car is hard to read right here, and I think red, if we stuck with red, we would be more in line with the magazine cover. All right. I guess these are the issues that were collected. Thumbnails. Okay. And then, okay, Marilyn Manson. All right. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see what's going on. Okay. Looks pretty good to me. Yep, they usually put it at the bottom with the symbol here. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Nice one. So this GQ, so this is the Mexico edition. That's a lot of type on the cover. Bring something else up too, is that the type does never, honestly, unless it's a really very different type of magazine reaching a different audience, but type is usually pulled away from that fold. This is the spine, this is where it folds, and this type is writing right on the fold, and that just doesn't happen. If we're looking, so you can see what's going on here, is that it's kept away from the edge, even though the GQ is hitting these edges, it's still pulled away. Let's see. Yeah, it's pulled away from those edges. So just bringing that point up. And this is too much type on it. Okay. And another thing, this coloring in the background, I don't think that is legit. I don't think that kind of goes with what's happening, because usually the backgrounds are very, very either gray or subtle of some kind. They're very, very neutral back there. Neutral, or white, or so there's that has to be addressed, this color back here. Okay. Okay, all right. I think we're, So let me bring this up. This idea here, see where the G is like touching the edge of the hair? That's called a tangent, and that's something that we try to avoid. So the vogue and the head shape is definitely not a tangent because the vogue is overlapping a lot. But when they just barely touch like this, it's called a tangent, and it's something to be avoided. Okay. Other than that, I think the cover looks pretty good. I haven't seen a vogue though with this little of type, but so I'd watch that. Thrasher magazine, not really familiar with it, so I'm going to look it up. We'll see how we did. So it looks like purple is fine. Yeah, so they throw the skateboarder up usually, at least in a lot of these, yeah, like right over the masthead. So they're up high and there's like room underneath, creating some kind of drama. And then we'll see some stacked type usually, just kind of stacked up, maybe two places, maybe one, and it's okay to use this kind of handwritten graffiti type, which is going on here, which is great. Overlapping. Yeah, cool. I'm all right with that. That's good. I think that hits what we're trying to do very well. Essence, let's see. So I have looked at a lot of these. I've been doing this assignment a lot with students, and to me this looks really good. I question the excuse me, the color of the background. And as I look here, I have grays, grays, grays. That's part of the photo. Oh, well, that's a similar color, I guess. It's a little grayed out. This feels just really like a very strong color. And I think if it were darker, this type would be read easier on it. It might go nicer with the coloring on the issue. Yeah, it's kind of a used color, isn't it? But I feel like this is a little too bright compared to what's going on here, if that makes sense. So, a lot of good stuff happening here. These are grouped very nicely. I like this Our Beauty. Yeah, so good. I would just work on, I think that color needs to be looked at. Psychology Today. Yeah, this looks like what I've seen of Psychology Today magazine. Just kind of looking at it. A lot of times I have seen them use type like this with an image. Now my next question is, have I seen this 3 divisions? I've seen it in other magazines. I'm just not sure if I've seen it on Psychology Today. And I don't see it just browsing through the first, 4 or 5 dozen images. That doesn't mean it hasn't been done, so I'm not gonna maybe discount that, but one thing to work on or think about is to make these kind of line up. And what an easy way to do that is to keep like 2 lines consistent with each one, or 3 lines. 3 feels like it's infringing on the space the masthead is taking up. Okay, and I'm still getting these. Watch your permissions, please. Men's Health, we have an issue about knocking that out. The tool is called the Shape Builder, I think. Let's see. I'm going to make a new. I'm going to quickly do this for everyone just so everyone gets how we're doing it. So if we have a shape and another shape, how do we knock it out? Well, we select both, and I'm holding down the Command key on the Mac or Control key on the PC and selecting one, and then holding down Shift and selecting the other. Then I'm using the Shape Builder, and I'm going to hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC. And you can see the little minus that shows up on my cursor, and I'm going to pop that out. So that's how you knock out those areas. Okay, so that's how you knock out your counters out of the E's and A's. You know, one thing I'm missing on here is the variation of size on the type. It's all the same size, and we've just looking at the past magazines, we know there's a variation. So that's one thing that really needs to be looked at on this one. A lot of National Geographics in the past looks like the new format they've adapted, but let me take a look. Because this is, I mean, usually we're seeing this, right? So maybe it's October 2020. Let's see what we have. Even on the newest issue, we're not. Oh, there it is right there. That's the Traveler and the National Geographic Kids. So yeah, maybe that's happening here. I would throw out that this rectangle in the masthead are in the corner, and still that's like a logo for Traveler, or the logo that goes with Kids. So I just haven't seen it alone. Oh, here's a special issue, National Geographic Almanac. So this might be the special issue, Amazon rainforest burns. Okay, great photo. Yeah, I think everything's looking good on that. We'll look at outdoors. Yeah, okay. One thing I'm worried about covering up that figure so much. Yeah, because as I thumb through these, the figure is absolutely left alone. Getting close, but pretty much left alone, showing the figure in the great outdoors and covering it up. I do like how you've grouped these together. I think that was very important. And other than that, it looks legit. It just, I don't think we should cover that up. Okay. And then we'll look at loading. It's taken too long. I'll have to come back to it. Here's an L cover. And I feel like the type is kind of scattered around a bit. It needs to be grouped a little bit more. That idea of grouping is called Gestalt, and I can talk about that later. But Gestalt means it was a German study back in the 1920s, and it was about grouping things, how our eye and mind group things as they're placed together, and there's different ways or reasons why we group them. And I feel like these just need to be a little bit grouped because they feel kind of scattered. Nice picture, nice logo, nice background. I think the type needs to be looked at again. And then lastly, well, I mean, I think the things look pretty good on the cover. Yeah, nicely placed masthead, and yeah, you know what? It's pretty good cover. This is funny, but other than that, okay, good. Well, thanks everyone. Good submissions.